welcome to this online interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our special guest of honor today is a very old acquaintance of mine, Mr. Laurance Langdon. He is the general manager of MFC, also known as Modern Freight Company in Dubai, UAE. First and foremost, Laurance, very welcome to this interview.
Thank you, Bo. Nice to see you again.
Yes, and before I get started with my interesting questions, let me reiterate that when was it we originally met, Laurance?
Probably around about 1997, something like that in Shanghai.
Can't believe it. Well, it's like they say, many years and many kilos or something like that, at least for me.
Exactly.
So good to see you doing well and striking up in the world, and welcome to UAE. First and foremost, Laurance, since we now talked a little bit about when we first met, for our viewers here, what is your background? How did you get into logistics in the first place? How did you enter this racket?
All right, so I'll try and keep it brief for you. But basically, my father was knocking on my bedroom door, basically saying, "Go and get a job."
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what I wanted to do, as most people of that young age are. And I looked in the newspaper and saw an advert for a logistics company looking for an office junior in a Middle East department. And as I had grown up in Dubai, I thought, well, this will be a shoe-in because I can speak a little bit of Arabic, and let's go for it. I had no idea what freight forwarding was or logistics or anything, but it was just the Middle East connection. So I went up to the center of London, that's where I'm from, and up to Hatton Garden, which is quite a nice place in London, and I walked into the doors of Schenker's. Okay. And interviewed there for the Middle East department, and by the time I got home, because there was no mobile phones in those days, they'd already phoned up to offer me the job. So literally they said, "When could you start?" So it was like Monday, and they said, "Why not tomorrow?" So that was it. And I walked into Schenker's and not having a clue what this business was about or anything, and literally started at the very bottom, dealing with telexes coming in and telexes going out, and big banding machines for the bills of lading and things like this. And that's kind of where it started. And I did quite well at Schenker's, I must admit, and was there for 3 years. And then this guy just turned up one day, newly joined, sit opposite me, and was telling me these wonderful tales of his travels around Australia. And I thought, that sounds interesting. And for about a year, I'd been sitting next to a guy who'd been doing LCL console boxes to Australia. He'd been doing them for about 10 years. And I heard him talking to the same people every day for 10 years, saying the same jokes. And I thought, do I want to be doing that, or should I go to Australia? So I bought a one-way ticket to Australia, went there, eventually got to Sydney, and then worked for a local logistics company. And then after a couple of years, I thought, time to go back to England. And I went back to England and thought, why did I come here? I was living on Manly Beach, riding my bike to work, back to London. And
what a downturn.
I eventually walked into the doors of F.H. Bertling and in London. And they were, at the time, quite small in London. I think there was 20-something people there at the time. And I walked in there. I remember it vividly because it was World Cup 1994. And the guy that was interviewing me was in a hurry because the game was going to be starting soon, and so he wanted to leave. But then they offered me the job, and I joined there. And after a couple of years, they came up to me, and I'd already said, "Look, I'm happy to go anywhere." And as things were booming and times were good, they first came to me and said, "We need someone to go to Saudi. Would you be interested for a project?" So I said, "Fine, no problem for me. I know the Middle East." And then that fell through. And then they said, "Would you be interested in going to Baku?" I'm like, "Okay." And then while that was kind of being processed, they said, we need someone to go to China for a few weeks. What about that? I said, "No problem." So with 2 suitcases, I jumped on a plane, flew to Shanghai, end of 1995, beginning 1996.
Wow.
It was pouring with rain. It was freezing. I was staying outside of town, and no one spoke any English. And I got there with our partners, who we both know quite well at the time,
Yeah.
young Ganesh. And I was supposed to be there for a few weeks. And it turned out, nearly 10 years later, opening several offices in China, one in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. I was there, and then after 10 years, I thought, okay, time to move on. Because China is tough, as you well know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
10 years is a long stint. And then I joined GAC. And then when I came into GAC, it was to help develop their oil and gas and projects
Oh, yeah.
product on a global basis. And with GAC, I was very fortunate to be able to live and travel globally, basically.
Yeah.
And then about 12 years ago, I came back to Dubai, which is the GAC head office,
Yeah.
and worked here in the HQ. And quite interestingly, I went into the underwater robotics division
Oh,
that GAC operates, which is Hull Wiper, and went in there for 3 years, and we reorganized that business, and that was very good. And then I got an offer to come into MFC literally the week that COVID hit the world.
wow.
And then came in here, and I've been here now 4 years. So
Fantastic.
that's a working lifetime in 2 or 3 minutes.
Fantastic. No, but it's an impressive career, Laurance. I mean, you've seen the world and you've done something, and it's like when people ask us what we do in shipping and logistics, it's a lifestyle too, isn't it? I mean, what we love is it's never boring.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
And when you work in that projects world, everything is thrown at you one time or another.
yeah.
If you're not quick on your feet or resourceful, you are going to have problems.
Definitely. So fast forward now to your current position in MFC. Who are MFC? Tell us a little bit of the history there.
Well, MFC is interesting company because it's been around since 1977. So
Okay.
it was established primarily, I would say, by a UAE family. The company is called Dutco, which is a large construction company primarily. They're like a lot of and interests. And as they were largely into construction, they were importing everything. And I think one day somebody says, why are we paying someone else to import all of our product? We should have our own logistics company.
Sure.
And that's really one of the main catalysts behind how MFC was born. And since 1977, it's been here in the UAE, and has been a real mainstay of the logistics business. It has two large warehouses, facilities in the free zone. We're at the airport as well, and we operate a large container depot here doing repairs, leasing, and sales. So it's a full 3PL, freight forwarding, international logistics business. We have our projects division here as well called MFC Extreme, which handles everything that's out of the norm.
Yeah. So that means I mean, with warehouses and other services, you could also offer services to other freight forwarders, couldn't you? I mean,
absolutely. That's a large part of what we do. We're very neutral because we're only here in the UAE. We're not a competition that's on your doorstep anywhere else. We are here in the UAE. Our expertise is the UAE and the GCC. So we do a lot of, especially now with a lot of port congestions in the Red Sea, we'd have to see a lot of cargo coming through Jebel Ali that we're trucking through into Saudi and other parts of the GCC.
Okay, that's really interesting, because I'll talk to you about this after the interview. But that's really interesting for our viewers to know. How would you say, how many people are you, or let's say, how many are you responsible for, and how are you divided? You say you have a projects division, you have a warehousing division. How many people are you in the MFC logistics?
We have 175 people. Employed here. So as you'd imagine, a large chunk of that is in the warehouse operations.
Sure.
So there, but yeah, in our projects division, it's not massive, as you know. Projects is all about the expertise, and if there is a freight forwarding arm, our freight department can handle the normal things. So we have like 5 people in the extreme division.
Okay.
But the rest is primarily in our warehousing, contract logistics
Right.
operations.
Right. And how do you see if you take your let's say freight forwarding glasses on, you know that many of the, not many, but some of the shipping lines, they want to be the jack of all trades now. And some of us might say the master of none too. But you know that they want to do it all and cut out the freight forwarder. How do you view that? Do you think these mega shipping lines will be successful offering everything to the customer, or is there still room for us, so to speak?
There's definitely room, and our customers will tell us that there's room
Yeah.
because they don't want to deal with some of these big monsters.
No.
And you know as well as I do, Bo, this is a cyclical market. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
We've seen people coming in trying to do it all before.
Yeah.
And it happens periodically. So there will be some success. Even here in the UAE, there's some big companies of the likes that you've just mentioned without naming names.
Yeah,
They've got
of course.
empty warehouses trying to offer super cheap pricing to entice people away. But sometimes I think the name scares people, that they think, okay, I can get a cheap price tomorrow, but when you've got somebody bigger and better, I'm going to be that small fish in your big pond, and I won't be able to get any attention.
No, exactly.
And I think when people work with companies like Modern Freight, where we are a medium-sized service provider, they know that when you're in with us, you're treated like kings and queens, because that's how we survive, because we give service.
Exactly. Now, I was just about to say, if I call, you actually will pick up the phone. It's not an automatic call center in the Philippines or India or somewhere, right? So it's I'm glad to hear that. That's a vote of confidence in because we both are, let's shall we say, freight forwarders of the old school. So I also hope that the shippers and the pendulum will swing in such a way that they will see their parking all eggs in one basket, and you are a small fish in their big pond. Won't last forever. I mean, how do you get around introducing yourself? Because if you look at Google and say freight forwarders or warehouse providers in UAE, the list is quite long. How do you do to get yourself out and about and be known?
Well, there's 2 or 3 ways that we approach that. We have our own marketing team here within the company, because I've always worked on the basis, like the old adage of cheap, fast, and what's the other? Cheap, fast, and I can't recall right now, but it works on the basis of, if you've got a strong strategy and you've got good marketing and you've got good sales, then you'll get results. If you take one of those out, if you've got strategy and marketing and no sales, no one's going to know, no one's going to get your product. If you've got strategy and sales, but no one knows about it through your marketing, nothing's going to happen. So
that's true.
On that type of thinking, we've got good marketing here that makes us very visible within the socials world. We've got a good, strong strategy with how we approach our business and our customers. We do get quite a few referrals, but at the same time, you've got to get out there. The world is kind of, as we've got used to Zoom and these types of tools now, but I think people, especially in our industry, prefer to travel, meet people, press the flesh, have a drink, and get to know people, because this business is all about relationship. If someone, I can go and speak to somebody, but if I just hand them off to somebody else and say, right, deal with that guy who they've never met before, then what's the point? So like you and I bumped into each other just recently in Rotterdam, the Breakbolt.
Exactly.
We get out into networking events, we get out into different conferences, and we make sure that we're building relationships. So when someone needs some help, we're an option. If they don't want to work with us, that's okay. But at least they know that there is a reliable company there that they can trust.
Yeah, no, it's quite clear. Face to face the investment in face to face, even the travel, the investment in it will always earn itself back over time. I'm quite confident of that. People, you can't do things. Well, we can do our interview on Zoom, of course, and it's a smart way to maintain. But ultimately, you have to, like you say, press the flesh and see other people in the eye. I mean, given the competition, of course, of the UAE, but on the other hand, you have a strong background. Would you say that are there any chances for you in the future that you might expand in the GCC area, or you focus on being strong in the UAE?
Well, UAE will always be our main focus, but no one could deny the sleeping elephant that's slowly waking up very near here.
Yes, very near.
So Saudi is there, and I was just down in Saudi a few weeks ago. So, we're definitely keeping an eye on what's happening there. We're exploring our options about whether we need to be there ourselves or strategic alliance, etc. But that's definitely a location that we're working in actively now, and some of our customers are now coming to us saying, right, we need to step up our presence there, so we want you to be there with us. So I think in the future something will be happening. But the way the world is right now, there's growth here in the Middle East, where perhaps growth is not happening in other parts of the world. There's a lot of activity here still.
No, it's exuberant. It's full of energy when you land in Dubai. Not only the airport, it's like you get a major boost right away. And of course, like you said, the sleeping giant to the left of where you're sitting, if they are really going through with their plans to diversify and expand. I actually recently had an interview with the port of Neom, which has got a lot of attention, mega investments there. So, and I suppose from a political standpoint, even though politics is boring in our business, but still UAE and Saudi are friends, right? I mean, they're getting along, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we have to realize that the way that these two countries operate is that they're big businesses. They're not countries in the traditional sense of the country with elections every 4 years, etc. No. These guys are about providing the platform for business to operate unhindered. You see that a lot, is that when if we have a special project that's coming in that needs some special attention or something, the customs here and the port authority are very welcoming. You go down, you explain your challenges, and they say, we're here to help you do business easily. How can we help you? It's not, here's the rule book, go away and figure it out yourself. It's let's help you solve this, because whatever's happening is benefiting us as a country, as a business.
I was thinking you were just about talking about the EU when you mentioned, here's the book, do it yourself, because we are drowning in new rules all the time. Where I'm coming from, both Scandinavia and EU, we are not as advanced as we think. And when you land in the Middle East, there's a can-do attitude, exactly like you say, from the authorities. And well, go back to England for a week, and you know what I'm talking about, right? So, but no, I can understand why you like it there. You've been there now 4 years. Is it your future will remain there in the foreseeable time, do you think?
Well, if I have a say in it, then I'm quite happy staying here. But as both you and I know, you never know, from one day to the next, you get a phone call that says, hey, there's something happening here. So I always keep the options open. Otherwise, the surprise is too big. But
exactly.
Like, as I said earlier, I've been lucky. I've lived a lot of different places around the world, and the family have always been very open to it. And I'm sure there's more travel ahead, but I'm quite happy for the meantime.
It's good to hear, Laurance. Now it's as I said, fantastic that we have this chance to do this interview. I want to say formally many thanks for this relaxed and let's say incognito interview with you as General Manager of MFC. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, Bo. Anytime.
That's good. So to all our listeners, viewers, and readers from around the world, it's been a long time since I had any video interviews, but here we start again. And our special guest of honor today has been Mr. Laurance Langdon, the General Manager at MFC, Modern Freight Company, as they also known as, in Dubai. And if you need any help, warehousing, logistics, or otherwise, do contact him directly. From me, editor of Project Cargo Weekly, thank you very much for attending this, and I'll be in touch in the near future. Thank you.